first Black Hills Badlands Tourism Summit. I've got the pleasure this afternoon to introduce to you Jody Burlog-Schaefer, National Travel Director for Midwest Living and Meredith Travel Marketing. A little bit about Jody. Jody is the National Travel Director. She manages all of the travel programs within Midwest Living and Meredith Travel Marketing and is responsible for providing innovative marketing concepts and serving as a consultant to the travel industry. Jody recently celebrated her 15-year anniversary with Meredith. She started in 1998 working for Midwest Living and was promoted to Midwest Travel Manager. In 2012, she became the National Travel Director for Meredith, which represents the magazines of Better Homes and Gardens, Midwest Living, Ladies Home Journal, Traditional Home, and there's a bunch of others here. She's a 27-year veteran in the travel industry, beginning her career at National Car Rental and Reservations. She's also worked in the hotel industry at Holiday Inn and Hyatt Corporation Sales and Marketing. In 1991, she joined Explore Minnesota Tourism as their international marketing rep, and in 1996 became the executive director for the Great Lakes of North America, a regional tourism marketing organization based in Chicago. Jody is a trusted and well-respected guru in the travel arena. When she isn't traveling for work, she's making vacation plans. She lives in Apple Valley, Minnesota, with her husband, 2 daughters, and a very spoiled Jack Russell Terrier. I've also found out just recently that she's a veteran horseback rider from the Buffalo Roundup.
Yeah.
So she's got some South Dakota experience as well. Thanks so much for coming. Melissa Luby, if you want to stand up as well, and another Meredith rep here traveled with Jody today. So thanks so much.
When I hear the introduction, I think, 27 years, really? But I'm only like 29. How does that work? Anyway, time flies, right? It's great to be here. This is such a lovely hotel. And I had this mixed feeling like I wanted to see a ghost, but I was too scared. So I was kind of glad when that little, I forgot what that machine was called, to see if the ghosts were here. It wasn't available last night, so I was fine. So anyway, great to be here. What I'm going to share with you today is our research study that we put together. Meredith Corporation, let me find my little buttons here. There we go. Whoops. Did that turn? No. There we go. Okay, so as he said with Meredith, all those different magazines. I'm sure many of you in the room have heard of these magazines before. So I just wanted to give you a little background just so you know that this is a lot of content. This is a lot of publications. Many women are reading these magazines, and I'll kind of get into that here in just a moment. But right now, I want to tell you a little bit about Meredith Travel Marketing, and that's our part of the business. This is where we just want to be able to showcase the best of our travel edit. This is how you work through us to help get facilitated into the magazines for travel, for advertising, things like that. We're very proud to be a partner for South Dakota. We've worked with them many years, and they're just a huge partner for us. And we've been a huge partner with the Black Hills and Badlands Association and many of you CVBs. And so we're just very happy to be here. And as Melissa is here, she's our more day-to-day contact. So Meredith, the last census was 138, just slightly over 138 million women in America. Our brands reach 100 million. So I just want to say that because when we say that we're talking about Meredith, that's nearly, well, it's actually 63%. It's 1 in 2 people are a Meredith reader. So that just gives you a little background about who this kind of person is. We spend 1 out of every $2, and we spent $53 billion on vacations this past year. So the survey that we wanted to do was really because travel marketers like yourselves are always asking us these questions. How do consumers decide how they're going to make their travel plans, where they're going to go? What inspires consumers to travel, actually? How do I get the most out of my print media? And can you help me with my messaging? So this is what we started to set out to do on this survey. But as you know, when you do surveys and research programs, you learn so much more. We did an online panel, and we had just over 15,000 women from Meredith, and we overlaid that against U.S. women. And the median age was 48, and the household income was $77,000, which is about $25,000 over the average. Our response rate was 11%, which is well within the range, and we worked with a company called Research Solutions. And what we uncovered is that really the purchasing funnel, I think everybody, when you went to college in marketing class, learned, oh, there's a purchasing funnel. You are inspired at the top, and then you look at your options, and then boom, you decide to go on your trip. It was like a one-way street. And what we found is that really things have changed. It's not like that anymore. Now, what's uncovered is this whole process, and that's what I'd like to talk to you about today. We have 4 phases within this new journey, and these 4 phases are inspire, discover, action, and enjoy and share. And I'll get into each of these here more completely. The inspire stage is similar to the funnel. That's the inspiration. That's the dream stage. That's when you decide, where am I going to go on my vacation? What's inspiring me to want to make the choice of your destination? Then we have the discover phase. And this discover phase is really where it's changed tremendously. We now have bombarded information opportunities. You can search through all the different kinds of social media like you learned this morning. There's magazines, there's TV, there's friends, there's books, there's websites, there's TripAdvisor, there's Orbitz, there's all these kinds of organizations that can help you. And so this discover stage really becomes this collecting of information. Then action phase number 3, this is what you really want. This is the part that we named it a suitcase. We did the picture here because really this is the person actually now visiting your destination or your attraction. Trust is super important here, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but it's very important that you deliver on your messaging. So the message that you had to inspire somebody to come to your destination, you want to make sure you've lived up to it, because phase 4, this is the enjoy and share phase. This phase didn't even exist a couple of years ago, and yet you saw from this morning there's a lot of opportunity with this social media, and social media plays a huge role in this phase 4. And so it's really important to keep in mind that this is the phase of sharing. This is the phase of, I went on this vacation, I had a great time, I'm going to post my pictures, share it with my friends. But this isn't the stage that necessarily inspires you to take the vacation. It's kind of the validation stage. So phase 1, we wanted to find out, well, what really inspires women to travel? And there were all these questions. How do they learn about new destinations? What stimulates travelers to dream about an adventure? How do they get website information like URLs, etc.? And the main word is magazines. That's clearly the best way to stimulate the journey. So what inspires women to travel? So right behind friends and family, that always is the default. That's typically always the first one. You'll see magazines, magazine articles, ads, and websites at 52%. Then it goes down to travel brochures at 31% and down to TV at 22%. They're all strong mediums, but in this phase of inspiration, it's very important to think about magazine-related sources. So my tip for marketers is that magazine brands are crucial during this dream phase. For some reason, my slide's a little slow here. Excuse me. There we go. So what elements in magazine ads influence the destination consideration? We asked this to the panel. And photography was the number 1 choice. You need to have a wonderful photo. What represents your area? What's going to drive you separated from the competition? When you're looking in a magazine and you see a picture of a beautiful beach or a forest, what's going to be the photo that captures it to make that person decide, yeah, we really want to go on this type of a vacation? Other ideas was the website. And we'll learn further in the presentation that magazines are the highest drivers for URLs. They work hand in hand with your website. It's very, very important to have a strong website because that's where people do the bulk of their planning. You want them to be on your site so that they have the right information that you want to provide them. Magazines drive them for that spot. Okay, let's see. I must be doing something wrong. Wait, here we go. So then we asked verbatims. What really is what's going to inspire you? And again, photography. A picture is worth 1,000 words. They want to see a picture of families doing whatever the place is best known for. And I thought this was very interesting when they said that. I'll ignore an ad that doesn't include internet information. Again, proving that people many times aren't going to reader service cards, they're actually going directly to the website so they can get to that information even faster. They want the ads to be realistic, and they want to know kind of the best times of the year. If you have seasonal opportunities, show that. Don't just show a generic ad for your destination, show the ad in that season. And really important, which is really hard to do, keep things clutter-free. Lead with your great image of something known, and then go from there. Capture that attention, make them want to come to the area, and then from there you can whittle down and get the right information to them about your specific spots. So then we asked the question about readers. Well, what do readers want in the travel magazines? And what's interesting on here is that they really want to get information to help them plan their vacation better. So they want to know ideas of what they should do. They want to see, again, the photography. They kind of want to know what things should we avoid. They wanted that kind of general information. Because what happens is when people are reading the magazines, especially if they're subscribers, which many of them are, they trust this. They know that editor. They feel like they know him really well because they read the editor's column and they have this connection. And so they feel that whatever's written in the magazine, that's like a direct relationship to them. And they feel like they can trust that. And we've heard time and time again that people will take the magazines with them on their vacation and visit the attractions because the editor said that you should do it. A couple of years back, Midwest Living wrote a beautiful piece about western South Dakota in the fall. And it was gorgeous photography showing these beautiful yellow aspens. And I've heard from many of you that we had a lot of visitors from Midwest Living come in because they saw that story to inspire them. We have some really good news about upcoming editorial that I wanted to share. Family Fun magazine is going to be writing about Rapid City in the May issue. So I encourage you to contact the editors at Family Fun to let them know, yes, please write about Rapid City, and why don't you also include the whole Black Hills and Badlands region? There's a lot to offer here. Midwest Living has a lot of opportunities coming up, and I'd just ask Melissa to let me know, to let you guys know a little bit about what some of the categories are. So when you contact our editor, Kendra Williams is our editor who travels all over the Midwest, writing about Midwest Living. In fact, before I turn it over to Melissa, I want to say I'm very proud. We just found out a couple of days ago we were the top winners of the Society of Travel Writers in America. We took the gold for the best travel story in the lifestyle category. So, Melissa, there was a couple of things. Would you be able to mention those, please?
So if you would like to pitch our editors, I do have a wonderful sheet on how to pitch Midwest Living travel editors, and it includes the editorial contact information for Kendra Williams, as well as other travel editors on our travel team. Coming up in our January-February issue, every year we have best new places to eat, play, and stay. Maybe a little bit too late to have a big push in the Jan-Feb issue, but we can always put things online as well. Even as recently as this week's e-newsletter, we have our 15 best weekend getaways, which features Custer State Park. Then it links back to the Black Hills Badlands Tourism Association website, to Custer State Park's website. So know that if we can't fit it in the magazine, then we can always fit it on our website. Our March-April issue has best state lodges and city food tours. May-June issue, our favorite hiking trails, which would be very appropriate. The September-October issue actually has best haunted experience, which I think this may be a very good fit, staying here at the Hotel Ellis Johnson. So we've got quite a few ideas here. Basically, reach out. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? So contact our editors, give her great ideas, tie in multiple attractions or multiple destinations. That's the best part about your association. You guys do a fantastic job from a regional marketing standpoint and a regional communication standpoint. And so talk about your neighbors, talk about yourself, do what you can, and make sure that you reach out to Kendra. I will have these at the end, and we also have a few magazines here on the table if you'd like to take them home and get a feel for our editorial.
Thanks. So this slide I think is really important to share. It's sort of like the pink elephant in the room, because probably you're sitting back here going, well, I heard print was dead. We've heard it. People have told us, yeah, print is dead. But if you take a look at this, magazine readership has increased 11% in the past 10 years. And nearly 7,400 consumer magazines were published in 2012, of which 195 were new titles. That's really powerful. You have brands such as HGTV, All Recipes, which is one of our brands, launching this year. And these are magazines that came not from the traditional method, they came from the digital realm. They realized that there is a strong demand for print. And it's not just people like me who are 35 or older that are reading magazines, it's really across all ages. And according to MRI, people under 25 actually are reading the most magazines. They're reading 7.2 magazines every month. 35 and under, 6.9. 35 and older, 7, and ages 50 plus, 6.8. So really, magazines are being read across all ages. So now let's get into the second phase. This is the discovery phase. And this is really like we mentioned before, kind of a labyrinth. It's where you're gathering all this information. And so it's really important that you have the right message, and then to be sure that you're in the right mediums, because they're looking through all of these sources. P&G coined this, or excuse me, Google coined this zero moment of truth. It's when you take a look at everything you have and you're ready to make that decision. It's when you start to grab that magazine, you get your laptop, you start looking for your travel destination, kind of the pre-shopping phase, I guess is a good way to say it. And so where do women learn about these specific travel destinations? Well, they learn about it through their family and friends. Again, that's not surprising that it's number one. But then when you take a look at the other sources that women learn about their travel destinations, magazine ads, articles, and websites are at 44%. Destination websites like yourselves, 42%. Very, very strong. Then as you go down the list, you see Facebook, online blogs, Twitter. They're all very, very important, but again, they're not as important in this discovery phase. They become more important in the share and the enjoy and share phase. So really, the importance of magazines has never been stronger. When we asked the readers, we said, do you use magazines for planning your trip? Currently, they said, yep, 36% we use these. For the future, it jumped to 41%. So clearly, magazines are here to stay. We also asked this question, clearly magazines are instrumental in this new journey, and we really see that trust is playing this key role. And when we ask people, do you agree with this? You can see the answers here about they trust these different sources. They say that I'm inspired by magazines, I trust them more than other sources, and trust, again, is very, very crucial in this stage. You need to make sure that you're delivering what you say that you're going to deliver. MRI took a look at the different kinds of medium, and I don't want to knock different mediums because they all have their right places, but if you compare magazines, TV, and the internet, you can see that TV is a phenomenal job at really getting the message across to the most people. But as you can see, it's very expensive. And it also has a little bit on the negative for the credibility. There's not really, it's not convenient when you're watching a program. The commercials come right at you. And so it tends to have a little bit more negativity. If you take a look at the other way, at magazines, you can see that negative drivers, those have really gone down about ads being repeated often. That's only at 28% compared to 63% with TV. So at the end of the day, magazines are still really the driver of websites, and I mentioned that we'd be talking about this later. This is really interesting. This is from Art Spinella, who's the president of CNW Research. Magazines continue to be a crucial and dominant driver to brand websites. You definitely need to make sure that you have the URL and tie in. In fact, if there's a promotion or some kind of a special offer in the magazine ad, the print ad, you want to then tie it into your website so that the link can go right to it. And here we show too, this is shows that magazines are at 39% face-to-face 37%, and interestingly enough, internet advertising is at 21%. So magazines and face-to-face people, like you telling your friend about a website, that's going to lead you to go to your website more so than just an internet ad or a blog. So now let's get into phase 3. This is the action phase. Again, this is where you really want to have the people visit your destination, but this is where the trust comes out. This is just paramount to be able to make sure that you delivered on your promise. Did you say that the hotel had these amenities and they really did do this? Because this is going to be the opportunity for the person to tell in a positive way in that enjoy and share phase. And here, P&G coined this in 2005. It's kind of the moment of, they're at the grocery store, do they buy Jiffy peanut butter or Skippy? Jif or Skippy peanut butter. It's kind of like when they're going to now just make that choice, they've packed their bag and they get on the plane to come here. Is this going to be what they thought it was going to be? And so we asked the Meredith women and U.S. women what kinds of activities that they do after seeing the print ads. And you can see here, 3/4 of the Meredith readers actually took action after seeing a magazine travel ad, and they're 30% more likely to book a trip by seeing an ad. Those are very powerful. Cutting out the magazine, actually going on the trip, very strong. These are the numbers that you want, and so it's very important for that to happen in this action phase. And interestingly, Media Post earlier this year had mentioned that there was a study that said 60% of the respondents couldn't recall the last display ad they saw, and only half of the users clicked on the online ad. So you want to be sure in this phase that you're actually really spreading your media out and using one that can really give you your best bang for your buck. So where do women put their trust? Well, number one, again, is family and friends. That makes the greatest sense. But it's also, these top categories really associate with people. Travel books, somebody's written the travel books, the magazines again, travel agents, travel review websites, all very important. And so a trusted resource is a powerful tool. And something to keep in mind that by the year 2014, a study was just completed by O'Leary, and it said that more than 10% of all online reviews are going to be fake. So it's just something to keep in mind about all those travel reviews. And now the final stage. This is the enjoy and share phase. This is the second moment of truth. This is when you've gone on your trip, and now, did you have a good time? Did the destination deliver like they said they would? It's the time to share your photos. It's the time to make your recommendations. This is the phase that definitely social media is all over, and it's great. It's a great opportunity to be able to show and share your trips and your memories. And again, keeping in mind, this phase wasn't even around just a few years ago. And as you know, this is where the viral, she talked earlier this morning about how, one bad review, pretty soon, what did she say, 834 people can be seeing that review. So it's very important that you, at the second moment of truth, give them what they wanted on their vacation. There's a really interesting quote about, though, that social really isn't selling. And this is the president of Cool Beans. He wrote something in Ad Age and talks about, really here, I'll just read this. The customer loyalty, advocacy, engagement, interest, awareness, they're all really important. But the assumption that they supersede the baser activities of selling is just pure hubris. Again, this is more in the sharing phase, not the selling phase. But what's really great for you guys all in this travel industry is that there's never been a better time to be in the travel industry. Travel really is the good life. And there was a Roper report that was done back in 2008, and they asked the people, okay, how do you define a good life? And back then it was, you wanted to have a house of your own, you wanted children, you wanted to have a college education, a luxury car, perhaps even 2 cars in the garage. Now in 2013, we asked the same question, and interestingly enough, those points, as you can see, all went down a little bit. It doesn't mean that we don't want these things, we still do, but they're not ranked quite as high. We don't really need to have that second car or that luxury car. Instead, what really rose was that free time, leisure time, making time for vacations, that rose. So this is really at a perfect storm right now. The people have the time, they want to make the time, they want to go on a vacation. It's really the good life at the moment for travel industry. And so just to kind of review, so these are the four phases: the inspire, the discover, the action, and the enjoy and share. And it's not just linear. Really, they all kind of intertwine. It's not the funnel anymore, but it's this, labyrinth of information, and you might be in one of the phases of the, say, enjoy and share. It could lead to another stage. It might inspire you a little bit to go, I'm really interested, and then you read something that really kicks home for you that says, yeah, I really am interested in that, and then you talk to friends, and then you look in the website, and you go through this whole big information weave. It really is two-way now. It's not one-way, as you know. And so really, just in summary, this research study just really identified this new journey. There's these four phases. Magazines are not dead. They actually do play a crucial role. And this is very interesting, this third point, I think. Consumers start planning vacations these are vacations that are defined as 4 days or more, 4.5 months in advance. And really, people can be at any phase at any time during their vacation planning. And important is to engage with your magazine editors. Make sure that you know the editors of the magazines of people that you're trying to reach, because those magazines really do inspire women. And keep your message consistent and just craft it accordingly. Make sure you're being honest in your ads, that you have very strong photography, and that you have a wonderful call to action to visit your website. Are there any questions that I can answer? It's kind of a lot of information all at once, but Melissa and I are here to help you, guide you through any of these questions or any parts of the journey that you may have with your marketing. Anybody? Yes?
Do you have an international market at all? Or is this all based on?
This is all based on U.S. Yep. There are studies like that show things differently, but this is all just U.S. Anybody else? Maybe I'd like to just ask you a question then. Within your organization, you guys have been doing just a wonderful job at marketing yourselves as a destination and not just picking one spot, like you are this entire region. How are you finding that, what's been working for you, Nort? Would you like to maybe talk a little bit about some of the, or I guess you'll be talking about that later, but just some of the programs that you're doing. Does this seem to make sense to you as well, going through this phase?
I could share a couple of things, I guess, from the association's perspective.
Yeah.
And I think something we discovered a couple of years ago in working with you on some of our co-op ads that we put together. The state does a lot of cooperative advertising as well. But we pretty much insist on having a web presence.
Good, okay.
Anytime we're doing publishing now, if we're buying an ad in the 5280 magazine, or we're doing a purchase with one of the Meredith products. So what are your thoughts on making sure that you blend an online presence, a significant online presence with you along with the publication?
Yes, I agree. That is a great idea, because as we found, that's how they want to be inspired from the idea of the print, but then they want to find out information. If you make it too cluttered and you give them every event and festival, if you list every attraction, that gets to become a pretty cumbersome ad or high impact unit. You want to give them just enough to tease them, whet their appetite, and then direct them right to your website, because then the website can really do the driving, and that can focus in on, this is what's happening during the week that I would like to travel. So the website and the print definitely go hand in hand. And then with that, it's also important to be digitally, because there are still people that are searching on all these various sites, and so it's important to also have a web presence through digital marketing, because during that discover phase, as you saw, there are so many kinds of information, and you want to make sure that you are being there in all of those points.
You're transitioning publications over to, a tablet presence, really electronic presence.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about how that's going and
Sure.
The process, and maybe
Yep.
if you've got any response data to date as far as how those are being accepted.
Yep. So right now, nearly all of our magazines are available on tablet form. And there's different options. You can have just a straight from print, which means if you run a national ad, it unfortunately can't be a regional ad or a type of an insert, it needs to be an actual run-a-book ad, then you're automatically included in that electronic version. And as a company, we're finding that many of our subscribers are actually subscribing to both, because what happens is you get added content on the electronic tablet. So, and a good example would be, say, Parents Magazine. You get the magazine itself, and you have a 2-year-old like Melissa does. So she's reading Parents, and it's great, but it also has information about a 6-year-old and a 10-year-old and a baby. So if you have the electronic version, you have many more options to just really hone in on 2-year-old behavior. There's a lot more content available. So we're finding that a lot of our advertisers really are engaging in the electronic version because they can give more content and get noticed more. The only situation at the moment is that you can't just buy that. You need to have an ad so that they can put it onto the site. So it's sort of a two-prong approach. You advertise in the magazine, then your ad automatically goes onto the electronic version. Then there's some of the others, like the Parents I was mentioning, where you have a lot more interaction. And then you can maybe enhance your ad. So for example, you're an amusement park. Well, maybe you want to have a video in there that shows one of the attractions, especially if you're like a roller coaster or something like that. You can actually have a video of people on the roller coaster, and so there's a lot of really great opportunities for digitally. As a company, we like that because our company actually prints 28 million magazines a month. So you can imagine like how much paper and postage, and I mean, it's really an expensive venture, obviously. So the more people that purchase their magazines through the electronic version on the Nook and things like that, that's actually good for us. In fact, but what we're finding, though, is it's not so much an either or, it's many times both. I think you asked another question, too.
It's actually important to point out that industry standards, only 7% of subscribers are going on the digital version, and that takes into account Newsweek and Time Out and other publications that have gone 100% tablet. So as a magazine industry, while we are all very supportive of it, it's still very slow to get picked up.
And when you are analyzing magazines, there's a program that's called the ABC, and that the ABC statement. And this is a certified company that judges the circulation. In many cases, in magazines like Meredith and other companies, they don't even, you see that there's so many percentage, like 7% or 5% of tablet users, but they don't get counted. So if Midwest Living, for example, we say we have 950,000 subscribers, that's print subscribers. We over-deliver that, and we also have, 15,000 tablets subscribers and et cetera. But at the end of the day, when you're being judged by the advertisers, did you deliver the number of circulation that you said you would? That's based on the print component. Let's see, I thought of one more thing too. Now I can't remember what it was. Something else that you had mentioned, Nort, that I wanted to expand on. Yes?
I've actually taken vacation based on solely on your Midwest Living cover.
Oh, wonderful.
It was a long
Thank you.
The question I had is, what Meredith publications line up most corresponding to the market that Black Woods Badlands in the state of South Dakota are going after? Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois, Colorado, Wisconsin?
It really kind of goes by the age of the woman. So for example, we cover everything from the American Baby and Parents Reader up to More magazine, which is the like 40 plus person. So if your demographics are you want to just reach families, then I would really recommend Family Fun, Family Circle, maybe Parents, depending on how young you want to go. If you're looking more for sort of the, woman who's, 40 years old to like 54, which is kind of that sweet spot, magazines like Midwest Living, Better Homes and Gardens, again, Family Circle could work well. If you want to focus in on maybe like an Epicurean focus, we've got Every Day with Rachel Ray, Eating Well. Now, All Recipes is now a new magazine for us. You can kind of tie in that way. But all those magazines, they can be bought on a regional basis. So you can pick, with the exception of Midwest Living because it's already regional. But some of the other titles you can then cherry pick and say, yeah, I want Iowa, Colorado, Minnesota, what have you, and you just buy that area and put your message in that market. Yep. Yes?
Could you
share any insights with us as far as what Meredith may be up to make sure that you don't become, I'll just say, less important as the millennials are coming of
Sure.
age and starting to travel? So have you got anything going on as far as to make sure that as magazines may just become a little less pertinent, right? How are you going to capture those millennials as they're coming to age and spending their money on travel and researching travel?
Well, we do a big investment on our subscriber list. And so, for example, as you saw in that MRI, all ages really are reading the magazines. So we need to be sure that we are finding the right title to fit them. So as they start to have children, we're right away there with their American Baby subscription. And as soon as they have that, we cross market. We have over 100 million women in our database, so we know a lot about this database, and so we can then go, okay, they're reaching this point, it's time to introduce them to Better Homes and Gardens, and then make them an offer to be into that magazine. And so we do lots of cross promotions that way. We're always on the market for actually acquiring new magazines. We had acquired Every Day with Rachel Ray last year, and then now this year with All Recipes. That was a digital property that we turned into print. There might be an opportunity that we could find another type of magazine to just reach that core category. But the way our company is set up is it's on the content. So we have the content. Millennials still are going to need to know, how do I decorate my new home? It might be a different home than their parents' home is, but they still want that kind of advice. What do I make when I have friends coming over for dinner? So we kind of will gear some of the stories within those titles to that generation.
Content rather than medium is really what you're concentrating.
Yes, content is really the king. Yep. And so a lot of times people will just go onto our website as well. And so they might never subscribe to a magazine, but they only go to, say, Better Homes and Gardens and sign up for the e-newsletters, and every week get a new e-newsletter about a different program. So people can come in not just through the magazine way as well. Yeah.
Jody, I just have a comment. I think what I love too about Meredith Publishing is that you're so ingrained into the culture of women as well, and not just what our interests might be. But for example, and I'd be interested to know how many women in the room have the same experience. But when I got married, one of my gifts was a Better Homes and Gardens red and white checker cookbook.
Yep.
And I mean, that is something that so many women get as a gift. Mothers have that cookbook from their era.
Yep.
My grandmother had one as well. So just that sort of part of it, you become a part of the women's culture, and that was my first touch point with Meredith, and it's only grown from there. So it's a smart move, and just nice to be a part of that culture.
Thank you. Well, it's interesting. It's the third best-selling book in America. Do you know what the first two books would be? The Bible, yes, and the dictionary. Although now the dictionary is not being sold as much, so I wonder if we're maybe moved up to number 2. But it's really interesting because that is a case. I mean, my mom has one that's dog-eared with tabs and things written on it, and I think probably most people grew up with that red plaid cookbook in their house. Any other comments or questions? Okay, well, we're just very pleased to partner with all of you, and we thank you for your business and hope that you're able to learn a little bit about the consumer journey and how they're making decisions. And if you have any other specific questions, please just reach out to Melissa, and we'll have this available as well, because it might be helpful to show some of your committee members that might be saying, oh no, we just need to update our Pinterest account instead, or whatever. That is important, but it is important to be well-rounded in your marketing plan. So.
If it works out, then we'll make that available. We've captured all these sessions again on video, so they'll be available online. We'll attach this with it. So
perfect.
All right, Mom.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
So much for coming.
Thank you.
Very good.
So thanks. Line up here.
Just a little bit of housekeeping.